There are nights when the world feels too quiet, too still, as if something is waiting. For Adrian Blackwell, tonight was one of those nights. He thought the storm had passed, thought the chaos was behind him after facing Aria and the unexpected twist involving Damon. But storms don't end when the rain stops. Sometimes, they regroup. They gain strength. And they return harder than before. After everything, Adrian truly believed he had regained control. He believed he'd won. But in the game between him and Aria, victory was never simple. Never clean. And definitely never final. Because today, he would learn that Aria wasn't done. She had one last move. A move that would change everything forever. The gala. The message from Damon. Aria's cold, knowing smirk. They replayed in Adrian's mind like an echo he couldn't silence. He had expected Aria's emotional flair, her unpredictable sparks of defiance. But not this. Not a secret alliance. Not the implication of a deeper plot. He walked through his silent home, once a symbol of power, now a chamber of questions. Every step felt heavier, weighed down by the unsettling truth. He no longer understood the game. And he definitely no longer understood Aria. His plan had been simple: teach her a lesson. Remind her of what she lost. But now, he was the one feeling lost. While Adrian tried to gather himself, Aria prepared for what came next. The woman he once knew, emotional, impulsive, easy to read, was long gone. In her place stood someone sharper, controlled, and frighteningly strategic. She traced her finger around the rim of her glass as her phone buzzed on the table. A short message. One name. Damon. And beneath it, he's getting close. Be ready. A slow smirk pulled at her lips. Aria wasn't simply reacting to Adrian. She was orchestrating something far larger. Far deeper. Something that began long before the gala. And Adrian? He was only just starting to see the edges of the truth. There are calls you expect. There are calls you hope for. And then, there are calls that send a chill through your chest the moment the screen lights up. This call was the third kind. A blocked number. A feeling in his gut. He answered. A voice, distorted, calm, confident, spoke just 2 words. She knows. Adrian froze. Before he could respond, the line clicked dead. No explanation. No warning. No identity. Only the ghost of a message that felt more like a threat. He stood there, breathing slowly, heart pounding. Someone was watching him. Someone who knew about him. And Aria. And everything in between. The walls of his penthouse suddenly felt smaller. Before all this. Before the power, the money, the manipulation. There was love. There was a promise. A promise Adrian made to her, to always protect her. To never abandon her. To build a future together. But success comes with shadows. And his ambitions pulled him away from the one person who had believed in him before the world knew his name. Aria wasn't perfect. Neither was he. But the day that promise shattered, everything changed. The memory sliced through him now, clearer than ever. Not because he missed her, but because he finally understood something he ignored back then. Aria doesn't forget. She doesn't forgive. And she never loses twice. Every game has players. Some visible. Some silent. Some hidden in the dark until the moment arrives. Damon was the latter. Adrian didn't know him. But Damon knew everything about Adrian. His business. His past. His weaknesses. His history with Aria. And the one secret Adrian thought no one could ever uncover. Damon wasn't just sending messages. He wasn't just watching. He was preparing. Because for him, this wasn't personal. It was strategic, calculated, purposeful. And Aria? She wasn't the mastermind. She was the spark. The storm that was coming had Damon's name written all over it. And Adrian wasn't ready. Adrian wasn't paranoid. He was prepared. He'd always kept digital eyes on the people closest to him, business partners, rivals. Even Aria. Not to control them, but to stay ahead. To protect his empire. But as he scanned through the data tonight, one folder blinked red. One he'd never seen before. Shadow Protocol. His pulse slowed. He clicked. Files exploded across the screen, documents, images, timestamps, conversations. But these weren't files he gathered. They were files about him. Every meeting. Every private call. Every secret move. Even the promise he broke with Aria was in there. Someone had been watching him for years. Someone had predicted he would look at this folder tonight. And at the center of it all, a name kept appearing. Damon Hale. Aria didn't trust easily. But Damon had earned a different kind of trust, the kind built on mutual goals, not affection. They met in silence at first. Aria's heels clicked softly across the wet pavement. Damon watched her carefully. Damon, he opened the file. A beat. Aria's expression didn't change, but her shoulders stiffened. Aria, then it begins. Damon, you're calm. Aria, I've waited too long to be scared now. Damon stepped closer, lowering his voice. Damon, you know he'll fight back. Aria looked out over the edge of the rooftop, the city lights blurring like distant memories. Aria, softly, and this time, he'll finally understand why. Powerful men don't break easily. But betrayal? Betrayal hits differently. Adrian wasn't angry because Aria was plotting. He wasn't angry Damon knew his secrets. He was angry because for the first time, he didn't know the rules of the game. The bag swayed violently as he struck it. Adrian, under his breath, what do you want, Aria? He slammed his fist again. Adrian, what did I miss? The truth gnawed at him. He didn't fear Damon. He feared what Aria had become. The woman he loved was gone. In her place was someone he no longer recognized. And no longer controlled. And that made her dangerous. This wasn't the first time Aria and Damon crossed paths. Their alliance didn't begin yesterday. It began before she and Adrian broke. Before the fights. Before the silence. Back when Aria still believed Adrian needed guidance. Not revenge. She sat across from Damon, fingers trembling slightly. Aria, you said you had proof. Damon slid the folder toward her. Inside, photographs, documents. Adrian's dealings with people he swore he'd cut ties with. Moves he made behind her back. Plans he never shared. Aria's heart fractured with each page. Damon, he's not who you think. Aria closed the folder. Her eyes glistened, but didn't break. Aria, no. He's exactly who I think. I just didn't want to believe it. That day, she made a decision. And Damon had been waiting ever since. Sometimes, the past isn't behind you. Sometimes, it circles back. Knocking. Demanding to be confronted. And Adrian knew. Tonight, the past was waiting. There are moments in life when silence becomes heavier than truth. And tonight, Adrian felt that weight crushing him from every angle. The room didn't feel like a room, it felt like a courtroom. A confession booth. A trap set by fate, time, and unfinished emotions. Aria's presence was not soft, nor comforting. She had always walked with a storm behind her, but tonight the storm felt closer, almost brushing against Adrian's skin. And though he tried to appear composed, the tremor in his breath betrayed him. This was it. The moment the past demanded answers. The moment the present demanded clarity. And the moment their future, whatever remained of it, demanded truth. Aria wasn't here to scream. And Adrian wasn't here to beg. But both carried unspoken wounds, layered over years of pride, love, mistakes, and the illusions of control. Tonight, nothing would remain hidden. The past has a cruel way of appearing when hearts are weakest. Every memory unfolded in Adrian's mind with painful clarity, the good ones that made him ache and the bad ones that carved scars he never truly healed from. Aria wasn't a chapter. She was the entire book he never finished reading. And deep down, she knew it. As she stepped closer, her eyes reflected both nostalgia and a kind of sadness sharpened by time. She didn't look like an enemy. She didn't look like a lover. She looked like someone who had carried too much pain, and refused to carry it alone any longer. But Adrian wasn't innocent either. He was as much a culprit as he was a victim. Their story was not one-sided, it never had been. Tonight, they stood in the ruins of what once felt unbreakable. "Why did you bring me here, Adrian?" The question lingered in the air like smoke from a dying flame. He had rehearsed answers, strong ones, calculated ones, cold ones. But the truth slipped through the cracks of his composure. Because the truth wasn't strategic. It wasn't powerful. It wasn't even smart. It was human. He brought her because he wasn't ready to let go. Because she haunted him. Because every success tasted empty without understanding why she walked away. But Aria wasn't asking out of curiosity. She asked because she already knew the answer. And needed to hear him fail saying it. And when he finally spoke, the room seemed to inhale his words. "I needed closure." Aria's eyes softened, but only for a moment. A brief, flickering moment between storms. The shift in her energy was subtle but impossible to ignore. She wasn't here to break him. She wasn't here to fall back into him. She wasn't here to win. She was here because she needed answers too, answers she'd buried under fear, pride, and wounds she had never forgiven him for causing. Her voice was low, steady, and dangerously honest. "You didn't want closure," she said. "You wanted control." And for the first time all evening, Adrian couldn't argue. Because she was right. Some truths are too heavy to speak. But silence is a heavier burden. "I thought if I showed you what I became," Adrian whispered, "you'd finally understand why I wasn't the man you needed back then." His words were not excuses. They were not manipulation. They were the quiet confessions of a man who had spent years pretending he didn't bleed. Aria took a breath, slow, deep, trembling. "You didn't need to become impressive," she said. "You needed to become honest." And there it was. The truth neither had dared to say. They didn't break because they were weak. They broke because they hid too much. He finally understood what had been haunting him all night. It wasn't Aria's presence. It wasn't their history. It wasn't even the trap she seemed to be setting. It was the realization that he had never truly healed. Every empire he built, every success, every achievement, had been constructed on a foundation cracked by unresolved love. Aria had moved on, but she hadn't forgotten. Adrian hadn't moved on, and he couldn't forget. And for the first time, he admitted to himself that the lesson he planned to teach her was the lesson he needed most. Some storms are external. But the most dangerous ones happen inside the heart. The storm outside mirrored the war within them, violent, unpredictable, and on the verge of breaking something that couldn't be repaired again. Aria crossed her arms, steadying herself. Adrian swallowed the last remnants of ego. This moment would decide everything. Not their past. Their future. and the silence between them felt like the thin line between healing and destruction. "Adrian," she whispered, barely audible, "I didn't come here because of the past." He froze. "I came because someone told me you were in danger." The words sliced cleanly through the room. Adrian's heart dropped. Aria had always carried truths like fire, dangerous, consuming, unpredictable. But this one felt different. Because it wasn't about them. It was about what was coming. Something, or someone, had already stepped into their story. A shadow neither of them recognized, but both had unknowingly felt. Damon. A name that didn't belong to their history, but was now woven into their future. The message read, "He needs to know. If you don't tell him tonight, it will be too late." Adrian's breath caught. This wasn't manipulation. This wasn't a trap. This wasn't a game. Aria wasn't the threat. She was the warning. And Damon, whoever he was, had just stepped into Adrian's life like a shadow with purpose. Every story reaches a point where choices become irreversible. Trust her. Or let her walk away forever. Speak the truth. Or continue living inside the prison of pride. Face the shadow approaching. Or pretend the threat isn't real. Adrian realized the truth in this moment. Aria wasn't his enemy. She never had been. The real enemy was coming. And it was coming fast. And just like that, the storm was gone. Not just the one outside, but the one between them. For the first time since they crossed paths again, the silence wasn't sharp or painful. It felt calm, healing. Aria stepped closer, her voice soft, almost carried by the last drops of rain. "You don't owe the past anything anymore, Adrian. Not guilt. Not pride." He looked at her, really looked. No anger. No regret. Only understanding. "I know," he said quietly. "And I'm ready to move on." There were no battles left to fight. No more secrets. Just the truth. Letting go wasn't losing, it was finally breathing. Aria offered a small, genuine smile. "Take care of yourself," she whispered. "You too," he replied. She turned and walked away, not in anger, but in peace. Adrian watched her go, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. The city lights reflected in his eyes like a quiet promise that this was a new beginning. Thank you for watching this journey from beginning to end. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more cinematic stories just like this one. This chapter is closed, but many more are coming.